Well, I'm making the plunge. I just removed the batteries, which basically makes this paperweight at the moment. Unless, of course, you push started it, being a 12 valve and manual. Anyway, so the Jeep body, I got it off the frame. It's ready to go. All the electrical's still intact. It's all there. Body control module, tip them, whatever you want to call it. It's all still under the hood. Fuse box also, some people call it that. But anyway, this truck right here, I got all the bolts loose. I'm about to lift it off and evaluate the frame. I got to figure out brakes. I got to figure out a few different things just along the way. I'm trying to use most of the engine harness stuff from the Wrangler, so that way I can just hook up maybe temp fuse to temp fuse and this and that. Just try to get some things to work. I know it's not all going to just plug and play. Of course, I got to snip wires and tie them together and things. AC is going to be a whole different ball game, but I'm going to get to that when we get there. Truck runs and drives great. Nothing's wrong with it. Just, you know, some dents and dings here and there. The cab was actually pretty decent. The bed was completely demolished. It was just, you know, bent up to junk. But anyway, frame is actually pretty rust free for a second gen. Got a little surface rust, things like that, but nothing serious at all. Must have been a Southern truck most of its life. I'm gonna have to figure out where you see the frame dips down and it actually goes back up right over there like a Wrangler would. This dip down is not on a Wrangler frame, so I'm gonna have to figure that one out. The dip down usually happens on a Wrangler frame right before the rear axle, which would be more in this area according to that dip down. So the dip down happens on the top of the frame and the bottom, not just the bottom. So I'm gonna have to figure that out because the body clearly is not just gonna lay on this frame. But I'm gonna make it work. Whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna cut it and shorten it and do whatever I gotta do. I'm gonna, you know, they say when you cut a frame, the best way to cut it is actually like this, and like that, kind of like you're playing with Legos. So you don't have just a straight line where it could possibly fracture in the future. So you do that, and then what I usually do is like a 1/2-inch plate over the whole thing, and then I'll weld that all in full. Sometimes I'll 1/2-inch plate on the rear. These second gen frames would be easy to put a plate on the inside and you'd never see it just because it's open C-channel on part of the frame. Not very good design as far as strength, but I guess that would keep moisture where it can dry out a little quicker if it ever got into the frame. I think I got to shorten something like, I'll figure that out in the future, but I think it's like 3 foot. So that's going to be interesting in itself. And not to mention on the Jeep body, I'm not just putting the Wrangler body on the frame. I'm making it a little bit more complicated for myself, but I'm cutting the Jeep body right here. And if anyone knows what a Jeep Wrangler Brute is, that's like the first of the Gladiator made by AEV. I forgot what that stands for, but their company made an amazing looking JK converted into a truck, and that was before the Gladiator. And then the Gladiator came out, which is, I guess, based on kind of what the Brute is. So I'm basically creating a Brute look to this JK, so it'll look like a Gladiator. But what I got to do is cut this off. This section here is a little bit shorter than what I need to go all the way down. What I'll have to do is cut this section off and mate that to here. I think it's 12 inches. On a Gladiator, it's about 11 inches. But I think I'm going to go 12. That way I can recline the seat a little bit because I don't like how straight up the back seats are. Anyway, so I'm going to move that here, and then I got to add a portion to the base of this, which will be behind the body, so it don't have to be pristine, but as long as the body side area along here looks, you know, decent. And then obviously I got to cut this section out as far as I'm going, which is probably going to be about right there, but cut this section out and then cut right there, and then I'll get a sheet of steel and actually mate all the way down, and you know, to where it meets that right there. So we have just a normal Gladiator style Brute, whatever you want to call it, back section for a truck cab. I was going to extend the cab, put a front door in the back, making this have more space, but I think that's a little bit too much. I already got a whole lot of chaos going on, so I don't want to add any more chaos to it. And plus I couldn't find any doors for a reasonable price. But interior wise, it's actually pretty darn decent Jeep. It's a Sahara edition, got leather seats, it's fully loaded. I got to do a few things to it. These are the straps where I lifted it off the body, or off the frame and all that. So if you strap it like right there in front, behind the windshield bars, and then right there, and then put a strap between them, this thing lifts like perfectly level. Kind of crazy. And then for the front, I already know a Cummins will fit in this, without cutting the firewall. You'll see Rattle Trap and stuff online. They cut the firewall. But I know a 12-valve Cummins will fit in this. If I can, I'll post a picture about now. But anyway, I'll show you where someone else has done this, and they use the stock JK front end. It's not a JL, it's a JK. JL is about 3 1/4 inch longer in the front. So what I'm actually doing, I have an aluminum JL hood, and I'm going to put that on here, and then I'm going to cut cut this section here, and I got spare fenders, and I'm going to add a 3 1/4 inch section somewhere in the mid-level of this support. Well, you can't really see it right here, but there's just a channel, kind of like a Dodge truck has, if you know what that looks like. And I'm just going to add that section in there, and that'll lengthen the front end where I have 3 1/4 inch more space for the Cummins, because the guy that did put a Cummins 12-valve in this Jeep, he ran into a little bit of space issue, but he did make it happen. He drives it and stuff like that, so it's definitely capable. And then I bought an aluminum 3-core radiator. I'm hoping that'll be, close enough. If not, then I'm gonna have to probably upscale radiator in the future or something like that. But if I can get by for now, that's what I'm gonna do. I literally cannot wait. I'm about jumping out of my shoes to do this. And today is the actual day where I pull that cab off. I just pulled the bed off. The bed really is just super easy on these trucks. You just take like 1 bolt, 2 bolt, 3 bolt, 4 bolt, and then again over here 8 bolt total. And then I had the gooseneck hitch and stuff like that, so I unbolted that. That was a little extra. And then of course the wires, you just unplug them and drop them down. Someone's made a huge mess out of all this, so we'll be amputating all that crap and probably be using the wiring out of the Wrangler, because all the wiring's there, and just run this through a porthole down through the body, probably somewhere where it's safe and out of the way, and then underneath and roll along the frame to wherever the bed will be. But anyway, I'm going back tan, just like you see it. It'll be a different kind of tan. That won't be exactly like a shiny tan. At least that's my plan for now. It'll be more of like a military tan. That way I don't have to redo the interior seams and all that stuff. Again, I already am doing an insane amount of crap. So to add a paint job on top of that, that's in depth, a different color and all that, I think that's just maybe for a future date. I wanted to do Battleship Gray, but I'm not doing Battleship Gray. I'm going tan. This rear bumper I will be using. I know it's ginormous, which really don't matter whenever you have a grinder and a welder. So you just cut this down, weld it down, grind it down. Same thing again over here, or just do it right in the middle and just slam it, whatever you want to do. And that'll make it skinnier. And then if I have to alter the sides to be just exactly flush where it looks factory, then I will. But we'll see where that goes. I'm not exactly sure yet. Bed-wise, I'm actually going to use this bed. I know it's too wide. I'm cutting the sides, and I'm bringing this in. Same thing over here, either just cutting the middle out, I haven't decided. And then the body side, since the Jeep's just flat sheet metal, for the most part, I'm going to cut straight down and amputate this whole side off on both sides and just weld a flat sheet in place. And then I'll cut my spot for the fender flare. The bed is 6.5 feet long, and a Gladiator is somewhere around 5 foot. I don't like how a Gladiator's rear axle is actually like way up here. So I'm actually going center on my bed, so we'll see how that plays out. And I'm not going to go with a 5 foot bed. I'm probably going to go, I want a little bit extra length because I just don't like, I think their beds just look a little too short to me. But I may just go a little bit, maybe 5.5, maybe 6 at the most. But there's going to be a whole lot of work just in the bed. Body-wise, I mean, there's parts that I already have that I can work with. It's real easy. This is basically got to figure the whole thing out. So that's going to be a whole lot. The frame is my biggest hurdle, though. After I get this body off, I'll test fit this. Obviously, it's not going to fit. And then I'm going to see what all I'm going to have to do to make this work. If it wasn't for that dip right there that comes along and goes back up, it would just be flat like a Wrangler frame, like you see over here. Never mind the chaos here. It's chaos every day here. Always doing something. So you see, Wrangler JK frame. This is the frame to that Jeep. It's just flat all the way back until where it curves up. And this is right behind the back seat right there where that curves up. So I'm going to have to figure that out. It's going to be interesting. I could just simply make a plate on top of it and just bolt it on like that and just weld the ears to mount it. But I don't want the frame to be hanging way down under the Jeep, you know, so it looked kind of odd. At least the frame is actually narrower than the Jeep, so maybe it'll tuck in there. And then I got these step bars here, so I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.